What's up everyone? I'm Tim and this is my channel 40 Times Around, where we talk about everything related to motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. And today we're going to be talking about cold weather riding gear. I know it's getting a little late in the season. A lot of you guys may have already winterized your bikes, but if you're looking to kind of extend your riding season, I'm going to go over some good gear, some tips on how to dress appropriately, and some of the tricks that I use when I'm riding in colder climates. Stick around. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be talking about cold weather riding gear and a few tips and tricks that I have. And so we're hanging out in Great Basin National Park up in Nevada. And this actually happens to be a car trip because it's a little cold right now to be up here on the bike, but it's hard to find snow in Arizona, so I wanted to do this video here while I was out roaming around. So this is Wheeler Peak, really beautiful area. This is my first time at this park. I've been really having a blast. If you get a chance to get out here, it's definitely worth it. It's pretty remote and pretty far from basically anything else. Lehman Caves is really cool, definitely worth taking a tour. Got some really cool pictures in there, as you can see here. So anyways, we're gonna jump right into cold weather riding gear. So I just wanna go over a few quick tips before we jump into kind of the gear that I would recommend using when you're riding in colder temperatures. Now everybody's a little bit different. People are acclimated to different climates. If you're like me though, when it gets kind of cold on the bike, I get pretty tense, and being tense on a motorcycle can get really dangerous. So it's important that you dress appropriately for the situation you're riding in. You don't want to be tense. It's also going to wear you out quicker. It's just not going to be fun. You're going to get sore. It's just more dangerous. You need to be relaxed on a bike, flexible, moving, and not tense. I think we all kind of know that. So this is really pretty important stuff if you are going to be braving the cold riding season. So tip number one is that bulk is bad. You do not want to over layer with bulky clothes. It's going to limit your mobility, and it's going to be really hard to ride a motorcycle safely when you're bundled up like the kid from A Christmas Story. Tip number two is that technology is your friend. There's a lot of amazing, innovative products to use. Like I said, we're going to jump into the gear in a minute, but there's a lot of heated gear you could be using that is going to allow you to stay much warmer without adding so much bulk, like I said in tip number one. So use technology to your advantage. It's well worth it. For one, if you're on a big trip, using heated gear means you're not going to have to pack so many layers to stay warm. Another convenient thing I like about the technology is that if you're traveling and you're covering some ground, and let's say you're going up and down mountains, you're actually able to adjust for the climate as you climb and descend in altitude. This is really nice that you don't have to pull over every time you get a little bit of a chill, or maybe you're just getting too warm. So technology is definitely your friend in this situation. Tip number three is to be proactive with wind prevention. Now this may be somewhat common sense, but cold wind will pierce through any weakness in your armor. You're going to want to make sure your gloves are over your cuff. Otherwise you're definitely going to get wind in through your cuff, and it's going to go right through your whole jacket to the core of your body, and it's going to get really cold really quick. So you have to be aware of that. You don't want any exposed skin if you're riding in really cold climates, because you're going to get frostbite, you're going to get chapped skin. It's just going to be miserable, especially if you're on a long trip. I've actually been known to duct tape seams on really cold rides, so just be aware of that. That's tip number three. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the gear that I use when I'm riding in cold climates. Now, I have two packing cubes for cold weather gear. Now, these are super convenient. I've mentioned these before. It's really nice when the temperature drops and it's time to get out the heated gear and, warm up. I know exactly what's in these things, so I just grab these two. This one has all my base layers in it, and this one has all the external layers. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the gear. Of course, you're gonna have to start with a good base layer. I recommend using wool. You can use smart wool, merino wool, anything that's gonna keep your base core warm. That's gonna be super important. You're also gonna wanna tuck the pants into the socks, the shirt into the pants. Like I said, we're gonna completely airtight everything. Thing is for sure though, you definitely don't want to use cotton as your base layer. Part of the reason for that is you want moisture wicking materials. This way as you sweat, because you're gonna be pretty warm inside all of this gear, if you start sweating, you don't want your clothes just holding that dampness against your body. It's going to get you sick real quick. Now when I'm traveling, I always have two pairs of pants. Now one thing I do, and this is kind of a trick that you should keep in mind the next time you're packing for a long trip, is that you make sure one pair of pants fits inside the other pair of pants. And I've done this on just about every big motorcycle trip I've had, and it's come in handy every single time. Now, you have your regular, riding pants. Those are the ones that should be slightly bigger. Then you're gonna have your base layers, so you can put your nice off the bike pants on first, and then you can go ahead and put your riding pants on over that. It's okay to double up on the legs because you don't need so much mobility in your legs unless you're riding off-road. But for this video, let's just focus on riding on pavement in cold weather. You're gonna wanna tuck your nice pants into your boots. Just one extra seal to keep the wind from crawling up your legs. And then your riding pants go over the boots, or if you happen to wear motocross boots and you tuck anyway, then you would tuck them in the boots. As far as boots, you're gonna want Gore-Tex. Now I don't have my riding boots with me. I prefer Gore-Tex, but you're gonna want something warm, something wind resistant, waterproof. That's gonna be important. Your toes are just gonna be out in the wind. So now that we got our lower half taken care of, we're gonna throw on an extra shirt on the top. This is just another thin layer, just a little more wind protection. Now on top of that layer, and you want this next layer to be as close to your body as you can get it, and you want it to be tight fitting, and that is gonna be your heated vest. I prefer a heated vest because it packs smaller than the full-size heated jacket, and all you're really concerned with is keeping your core warm. It's not so important to keep your arms warm. They're not gonna get quite as cold, depending on your bike setup, as just the wind just beating on your chest. So you wanna keep that warm. I prefer the vest, like I said. Now I'm actually looking into some other heated gear that's actually battery operated. Kind of intrigued by this because I think this could actually extend my camping season as well. So I'm looking into that. As far as heated vests go, I'm super happy with this one I got. I'll actually leave a link to it down below in case you guys want to check it out. And actually I'll leave a link to all of this stuff, just kind of a list of what I use for cold gear, down below in the description box. So over your heated gear, you're gonna go ahead and put your jacket liner. Now, I actually use this as my jacket liner because it's a nice standalone jacket. When I'm off the bike, I can wear it. It doesn't look weird. It doesn't look like a jacket liner, like it's missing half of it. It's a nice jacket. It's super warm. Any jacket will work as long as it fits comfortably underneath your regular riding jacket and you have mobility. I would stay away from hoodies and sweatshirts, and again, cotton, just stay away from it. Maybe even throwing a fleece layer in wouldn't hurt. Just be careful with not bulking up too much. Now, this setup works great for me because this jacket, not only does it keep the cold air out, but it keeps the heat in from the heated vest. And this obviously is going to be worn underneath my regular riding jacket, which I don't have with me today. So we'll just pretend like I'm wearing that. Now, one more thing before you put your regular riding jacket on is actually going to be your neck gaiter. I prefer the tube style. Now, what I'll do is I'll put it on so it's kind of hooked around the top of my head and comes to my mouth. I don't like it over my nose because then my face shield ends up fogging up. So I leave the nose exposed, and that gives me a nice windproof layer right here that keeps all that cold wind from coming into my helmet and down into my jacket. Now there's also fleece. So the one I typically use is neoprene. There's also fleece, and there's also these just regular masks. I prefer the neck gaiters because they protect you a lot more down here. Now what I like about neoprene is it's water resistant, it's actually really comfortable, and it keeps me pretty warm. Neoprene also has excellent insulation properties, so it works really well for this. Like I said, fleece can work. I also like the fact that neoprene is water resistant. That way if it happens to be a cold rain, I'm still covered. My fleece gaiter isn't gonna get soaking wet and be freezing cold. Okay, and after you've got that taken care of, the next thing is gonna be your winter riding gloves. These are super crucial. Hands will get so cold on a motorcycle. I haven't always had motorcycles that had hand guards like I do now. That makes a huge difference. But you are gonna wanna get some winter riding gloves. Now I have the BMW winter riding gloves. You definitely don't need those. I've been super happy with them. I'm not so brand loyal that like I buy everything BMW. This was something I wanted them to be high quality, and I believe that BMW really did an excellent job with their winter riding gloves. If I wear these things on a normal day, my hands start to sweat pretty quickly. That's how warm they are. With winter riding gloves, you're gonna wanna make sure that they're protective on the palms, of course. You can't just wear regular winter gloves. They have to be protective. You also wanna make sure that they're gauntlet style, so they're gonna come below the cuff of your wrist, and that your riding jacket, your outermost layer, gets tucked into the glove. Beyond that, you may want to carry some hand warmer packets with you. They have definitely saved my butt quite a few times. If your toes happen to get cold, you can throw a few of them in your boots, slip a few of them inside your gloves. Anywhere that gets cold, I've even put them on my knees, anything like that. And actually, as far as knees, it helps to have riding pants that have knee pads. That helps a little bit too. But if you're fortunate enough to have heated grips, you'll know that this is probably one of the biggest conveniences I would go for on a motorcycle. I can't tell you how much of a difference it makes when you start to get a chill to just flip on the heated grips, and that just holding on to something warm will make such a big difference. Okay, so that's it. Those are my tips on cold weather riding and gear choice for cold weather riding. Alright, so that's it. Those are my tips and gear suggestions for cold weather riding. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss anything whenever I post something new about motorcycles, camping, travel, and adventure. Question of the day: what is your cold weather riding tip you want to share with the rest of us? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.